Good morning, everyone. This is Al coming to you once again from Kindred Souls of Brooklyn. And I thought it'd be cool to do a video in front of the Waffle House, even though it's not about the Waffle House. But you'll stick around, you'll see why. Actually, this video is all about the Avenue Ave Flea Market in Brooklyn, an iconic, historic place. So stay tuned for some fun facts and some memories of the Avenue Ave Flea Market. So first off, folks, it was the 80s when the Avenue Ave Flea Market started. Like a lot of flea markets, it was a big going trend. I'll never forget it. I was in high school. I could fit into almost any kind of pants back in those days. Loved it. It was actually, we pretty much in Brooklyn had a couple of really big flea markets. The first one was the Caesars Bay Flea Market, and the second one was, of course, the Avenue Ave Flea Market. Now I'm going to throw a couple pictures up there just so you can see and recount what they look like. So I've done a video on the Caesars Bay Flea Market if you want to check that out on my channel. But like I said, this one's to do with the Avenue Ave Flea Market. And pretty much the way they both differed was there was a different feel to each flea market. I liked them both, but like if you remember, the Caesars Bay Flea Market was it was in an old department store. It was in the old Corvette's department store. So the place was a lot more fancy. You had a fancier floor. You had like dedicated bathrooms. So Avenue Ave, as opposed to that, was in an old factory. And Avenue Ave opened up in the early 80s, and it lasted up until 1997 when something else took over. Now, the thing that took over was ShopRite, and you could go there today. It's probably one of the busiest ShopRites I've ever seen, but that's what's there right now. But what I loved about the Avenue Ave Flea Market was because I grew up in Winston Terrace, / Park Slope, right on Prospect Avenue between 10th and 11th, I was able just to jump onto the F train right on 15th Street and head toward Coney Island Way and get off at Avenue Ave. And I was right there at the Avenue Ave Flea Market. And again, going back to that whole different feel, it seemed to me like, for me personally, and you guys could let me know if this was true for you guys as well, but it seemed like in the nicer weather, I wanted to go to the Caesars Bay Flea Market because you had that great view of the bridge. Whereas like in the colder weather, I tended to gravitate toward the Avenue Ave Flea Market because, like I said, I could just jump on a train. If anyone's ever been to Brooklyn, you know that in wintertime, we get some snow. And the good old reliable F train, which I'll pop a picture up there of, just about 7 or 8 stops over to Avenue Ave. And you get off, you go right downstairs the platform. And there you were at the Avenue Ave Flea Market. It was also better, too, that if you wanted to drive to the Avenue Ave Flea Market, for me, you could drive under the Avenue IL, and it was pretty much a downhill slope. So those roads were always plowed, so you wouldn't have a problem getting into those places. But as far as the place goes itself, I really enjoyed the Avenue Ave Flea Market. And let me throw some pictures up of that right now. One way that I really think that it differed was, in fact, in my memory, that there's also a lot of commercials on, I guess, YouTube to buttress this fact. But it seemed like the Avenue Ave Flea Market did a lot more advertising than Caesars Bay. Maybe Caesars Bay didn't have to do as much advertising because, you passed it on the Belt Parkway going to a Kennedy Airport. But as far as the Avenue Ave Flea Market went, they were always doing commercials. They have a commercial, and it would seem like every other week there was a different commercial on of that. And every Saturday and Sunday, they gave away a TV and a VCR. I think I have a picture of that. I'll throw that one up there too. So as far as the flea market went, it was really nice to go in there because you had all these like t-shirt vendors in there. And I always loved t-shirts. And back in the day, you had those transfer shirts, which of course, you had all the nationalities, you had all the cars, you had all the sports teams, you had all the professions. In fact, just to recount a quick funny story, my mom had gone to the Avenue Ave Flea Market, and I went to Bishop Ford Catholic High School, Central Catholic High School, over there on 19th Street, and I was on the bowling team. So she bought me a shirt one year, and we used to practice on a Monday, and we'd have the games on Tuesday against all the Catholic schools. So on the front of the shirt, it had a bowling logo, which those things never breathed, if you remember. It was just one solid piece of plastic. So you wore those in the summertime, you really sweated. But just to recount the funny story, it had a bowling logo on the front, and on the back of it, it had a saying, and it had "Bowlers do it with balls." And it was so hysterical because a big shout out to Mr. Radigan. Hope you're doing okay out there, Mr. Radigan. A great math teacher, a wonderful coach. He was a staple in Bishop Ford for years and years and years. Anybody who went to Bishop Ford would know him. He taught driver's ed. really nice, prim and proper Irishman. And I was at bowling practice, and I really hadn't looked at the back of the shirt. Just kind of threw it on real quick, and I guess my mom didn't look at it either. So all of a sudden, Mr. Radigan is pulling me to the side, and I wasn't a guy to get in trouble. There was a couple other kids on the team that really had that dubious honor. So he pulls me to the side. He goes, Al, come over here. He goes, where did you get that shirt? Now, my mom tended to be a little scary until you got to know her. My mom was a really great bowler, but once you got to know her, you were okay, but she could be a little scary if you didn't know her. So he says to me, Al, where did you get that shirt from? I was like, my mother gave it to me. Well, the look on Mr. Radigan's face was just priceless. He didn't know what to say. He kind of stepped back, and he was like, I don't want to tangle with this one. I don't want, So then I went back into the restroom, and I was like, I don't know what the guy was talking about. So I looked on the back, and I had the biggest laugh. Me and my friends were in the bathroom at Park Circle Bowling Lanes. That's where we used to practice. We had the biggest laugh. So I went home to my mom. I was like, Mom, what's the shirt that you got me? She's like, what are you talking about? It's a bowling shirt. So I turned it around. I was like, yeah, look at this. She's like, holy cow, you didn't wear that, did you? I said, of course I wore it. So it was a good little laugh. But getting back to the Avenue I Flea Market, just was a lot of good stuff in there. I used to love, they had a great store in there that sold dog supplies. Like they had the leashes. And I remember one of my favorite things to get in there was the dog bones, because we had a Doberman Pinscher at the time. And they had these bones that were 4 feet long, these rawhide bones. So I used to go there for 10 or 15 bucks. I got him this big rawhide bone, and I used to love to watch him carry it around the house. And then he would take it outside, and some of the neighbors were they were a little afraid of him, and they used to say, "What is that in his mouth? Is that a human leg in his mouth? Did he attack somebody?" Because back in the day, it was Dobermans that had that dubious distinction as opposed to the pit bulls. And I don't know, I found it funny. But anyway, the flea market, like I said, folks, was really it was nice. You could just go there. You'd meet a lot of good people there. You'd go there and you'd find your neighbors there. It was a great place to go for at Christmas time or Valentine's Day. They had vendors that sold the balloons. And I remember Caesars Bay had a few rides and stuff over there. But Avenue I used to have characters dressing up. I mean, they did a clown over there. I remember they had a Batman in there. So it was really different in a different kind of way. And like I said, I guess it's kind of like trying to pick what's better, Coke or Pepsi. I mean, those of you who watch my channel, it's Coke, but basically I like both of them. So they were both kind of historical. So, I guess as things went along, when 1997 came, the flea market was kind of going down little by little. I guess that's when more of the Kmart started coming around, and Target was starting to head in and around, and you had Walmart in New Jersey. So the flea market started to lose popularity. So finally in 1997, ShopRite came in, and they took over the whole place. And it was kind of a little sad because it had a lot of memories in there. And to this day, I still think of it when I drive by it. They had they had a lot of pretzel vendors in there, and all kinds of movie type food, and all the stuff that I should have never really eaten that I still eat today. But it was just really good times, folks. So if you want to comment on all the good times that you had there, and memories of special vendors that you used to go to and patronize, that'd be really cool. I'd really appreciate your comments, because that's what makes the channel really special, is that people love to comment on it. People who love Brooklyn, like myself, people who have never been to Brooklyn, who like to watch the videos and say, one day I'm going to go there and maybe learn how to talk like that crazy guy in the video. So tell me what you think. So folks, just to circle back to why I'm in front of the Waffles House, for those of you who watch my channel, you know that we lost my son last August. Again, I can't begin to tell you the depth of the loss that we feel, the hole in our heart that happened after he left us. But we are starting a suicide prevention foundation. It's going to be called the Waffles Foundation. My son's nickname was Waffles. For those of you who want to look on my channel or on the internet, he was a brilliant musician, a great guy. The guitar was his door opener. He was really, really good. He loved the guitar. He loved his music, and just was a great musician and a wonderful person, who I just think made a very bad choice. He was depressed, and he really didn't let anybody in. And we wish he did. He had so many close friends and family, but rather than dwell on that negative part of things, we want to continue his memory and we're going to start a foundation in his name. It's called the Waffles Foundation. We already have a website up. It's www.wafflesfoundation.org. And we are waiting for our 501c number. It's our EIN number, which will allow us to be a non-for-profit, an official non-for-profit. So folks, I'd appreciate the support. We're going to be, the whole mission of the foundation is suicide prevention, and it's also going to be donating musical instruments to kids who can't afford to play, who want to play, to give them that future of music. We're also going to hook them up with lessons. So anybody out there who'd like to donate a musical instrument, you can reach me at wafflesfoundation@gmail.com. If you're a musician or you want to provide lessons, then you can also let me know. I'd love to hook you up with hopefully some kids who want to come in, or whatever you want to do, you let me know. So folks, as always, I thank you for watching. If anybody's out there who's in trouble with suicide, please talk to them. Please get them help. Let them call the National Suicide Prevention Hotline. It's like I tell people, the world is more important with them in it than with them not in it, and they can never be replaced. So folks, take care of yourself. This is Al signing off. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you very much. Have a safe, wonderful day. Take care now. Bye-bye.